All right, all right. Welcome and good evening. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Revolution podcast and to Queen Aline. I am your host, Aline, and I'm so excited tonight. I have a very special guest, my good friend, JC Ortiz, who is going to share with us a little bit about his journey with the mucus-free life and also share a little bit of tips and inspiration to help you on your health journey. Let's just take a quick second before I move forward just to make sure we are live. I love streaming live. So if you will have any questions for us or for JC, please let us know in the comments. I got my phone here so I could take your questions. All right, and we're gonna share. Oh, wait, let me just one sec. Let me just tag you and make sure that we have it in the group as well. We're going to be sharing this in Professor Spira's group, the Mucus-free, mucus-less diet healing system, Professor Arnold Ehret. Let me just, okay, tag it there. I can't seem to share it in the group. You might have to share it in the group. My little share button is not showing.
Oh, no worries.
I
Yeah,
don't know
I'll,
what's,
I'll take care of that.
oh, there we go. Okay, I see it. Do you want to do it or I do it?
On the you talking about the Facebook group or the
Yeah,
private
I got
membership?
it. I
Yeah,
got it. Yeah, I'll
you
do it.
got it?
I'll do it right
Nice.
now.
Sweet, thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining in. It's good to give everybody a couple of seconds to join as well as we take care of this little technical. All right, thank you so much. And my apologies for being late. We were supposed to start at 6 o'clock and we are starting now because all in divine timing. So I appreciate you all being here. Thank you, JC, for being here. So let me introduce him a little bit and then we'll get right into it. So JC, for those who don't know, is a passionate practitioner of the mucusless diet healing system. We'll talk a little bit about it later, but this is a lifestyle that has been transforming his life and the life of thousands, which he has been helping us to take the first steps. He shares amazing recipes, incredible inspiration from the mucusless diet healing system to help others completely transform their life. He's also the digital media manager for the Mucus-free life. This is Professor Spira's company. So they have an amazing team and he helps to create the videos, the content. He's so creative. He makes a lot of the videos for Professor Spira if you've seen them. So amazing. And if you're not following Professor Spira, definitely follow him. Every day he shares amazing information that could really, really support you and your family as well. So yeah, you're an amazing artist. You're such a great friend. You're so down to earth. I just love JC so, so much, and it's truly an honor to be talking with you tonight and to be sharing you with my community. For those who don't know you, definitely follow JC for some more inspiration. And yeah, let's get into it. So we want to hear all about your story, like who are you, where you come
Mhm.
from, and how you came across this amazing, amazing path.
Oh, thanks so much, Elaine. That was so nice. Yeah, so my name is JC Ortiz-Roman. I am 26 years old and I am the digital media manager for Mucus-free Life. So I've been practicing the mucusless diet healing system for almost 4 years now, and I've been slowly transitioning deeper and deeper into a plant-based lifestyle since I was like 18. I remember I went to college, and the very first friend I had, they started to work at the only vegan restaurant at the city that I was living in. And that vegan restaurant was also practicing some like Indian religions. And so you'll notice that vegetarianism is a really common practice there, and also intermittent fasting. So they started to take it a bit beyond intermittent fasting as we know it, which is that whole like 12 hours, 16 hours wait time. They started to go 1 to 2 days. And back then, I was I was into athletics, so I was pretty indoctrinated into the you need to eat 3 times a day. Protein's really important. And by protein, I mean like animal flesh.
Mhm.
And they would like come visit me in my dorm, and their tongue would be white and they're talking about like mucus, and they're talking about this waste leaving their body. And I was like, you're talking like a different language right now. But long story short, they convinced me to start using tofu in my burritos
Mhm.
rather than steak. And since I was so active, I noticed that I felt lighter on days that I used the tofu rather than the animal flesh. And over time, this started to just pique my interest. Like, okay, well, what's the next step of this? I also started to get into meditation. And when I explored those communities, plant-based living, plant-based diets was really common.
Hmm.
So over the course of, I'd say like 3 or 4 years, I started diving deeper and deeper and deeper. I eventually chose to leave college. It wasn't in alignment with what I was trying to do. And I really gave myself to the path of spirituality, like mainly meditation, yoga. I love everything yoga. And I found Spira before I really even understood what the mucusless diet healing system was first. I was studying Dr. Sabi,
Yes.
really famous man. And so that was the very first time I heard the words like mucus being used in the way that I use it a lot, which is as an obstruction, something harmful in the body. And so when I saw the mucusless diet healing system, I thought it was Spira's creation first. I didn't recognize it was Arnold Ehret's. So I got the book and it sat on my room for months. I ended up getting fired from a job that I was working at the time. I think I was 20, 21 years old. And I came back home for the summer. I had a nice chunk of savings. I was like, let me just get myself right. I was struggling with a weed addiction and was just all over the place mentally. So I devoured all of these books that I had. And one of them was the Mucus Diet Healing System. And I remember I read it in a sitting. It's less than it's a pretty short book, like relatively to others. I even have it right here. You know, that's not something crazy thick. It's like a centimeter thick.
Yeah.
And the only thing that stuck with me was the food list, and the mucus was bad. So that's not the mucusless diet healing system, but I interpret it as that. So for the next 2 years, I basically just ate based off the food list. I didn't understand food combinations. I didn't understand timing. I didn't really understand transition. I didn't understand fasting. Um, and eventually my life led me to creating this project that required that I read the book again. So I tried to do the same thing. One sitting, read the entire book. I didn't finish it. I was very frustrated. So the next day I opened the book and it said something along the lines of, if you don't understand this, read lesson 5 again. Oh my gosh, that drove me up a wall because many times in the book it says read lesson 5 again if you don't understand this. I think it's 13 times. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna read lesson 5. I'm gonna give this one more go and then I'm done. Like I'm over this. I had very short patience. So the next day I was the shift lead at the smoothie and juice bar. Sent everyone home early. Just wanted to spend as much time as I could studying, clean everything up. There's literally just one light above me and this table in the middle of the store. It's dark. It's late. I'm at like the strip mall. And I just sit down, pull up my Mucus Society Healing System book, lesson 5, the formula of life. And I read slow. I go word by word by word. I realized I didn't understand anything before. And what I was reading was like the coolest thing I have ever read in my life. The hairs on my arms started to stand up. I had to take like breaks to like sit back because it was like what he's saying is making sense. The way that he's structuring it makes sense. And if he's right, this changes my entire worldview. And so what Eric was proposing at that time was that the human body was not a food gas engine. It does not run primarily on food, but rather on air as an air gas engine. Now that changes a lot when you think about why do I eat? And so I devoted months after that to just reading this book over and over and over again and talking about it to anyone that would listen, experimenting on myself. And after about a year, I joined the Facebook group, was really active there, and was later, I was moved up into levels of more serious practitioners, and I started to work with Spira probably like 10 months later. And man, I haven't looked back. It's been amazing to be under him, to be next to all these just amazing practitioners And yeah, mucusless diet healing system is definitely at the center of my life.
Amazing. You're such a great storyteller too. Thank you for sharing that. It painted a picture, of what you were going through at the time. And I'm a very slow reader as well. So I can definitely relate. And I think it's so interesting too, like that thing that's usually that we have the most resistance with is often the thing that brings us the most enlightenment and clarity. And I do believe that there's a time for everything. Like our soul knows when we're ready to fully step into something, and there could be a level of readiness for that maybe you weren't ready for before chapter five. It's like, okay, I know
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
there, but it's like that door. All I feel is like there's these giant doors open up when we get this knowledge and this information. And yeah, Professor Spirit is so amazing. I cannot like speak enough highly of how big of a heart he has and how he just really loves to help humanity, just as yourself. And he's created such an incredible community around this, around his
oh
own
yeah,
transformation too. If you haven't seen it, I have done an interview with Professor Spira. I had the honor of doing this as well, almost 2 years ago. So he had a huge life transforming change, where he lost over 100 pounds. I can't remember exactly how much, but over
yeah,
100 pounds. He completely transformed his life, and now he made it his mission to. Oh, it was a calling, calling on his life to share this with the world. So he is like the most sought after teacher, professor, public speaker on the mucusless diet healing system. He's done this, spoken all over the world. And he's even annotated the original book from Arnold Ehret with his own, like take on it, modern, talking about like how this applies to our modern life because things have changed since the 1900s. So yeah, he's so amazing, and I just absolutely love all of you and the beautiful work that you've created together, that you've done together. It's a safe space as well, the Facebook group, and also the new private community that you all started on Circle. I have the honor of being there as well. So good. You offer like weekly gatherings as well on Zoom to really support people in the transition because we're going to talk about the transition because I think it's so important what this work is doing in people's lives. And
mhm,
we see a lot of like, raw vegans, fruitarians, breatharians, right? Like we see this place where a lot of people are or claim to be. And there's not enough talk on, well, how do we get there? How do we go from,
right.
steak and potatoes and Doritos and beer and all the things to eating only melons and sitting in meditation for 3 days and not eating food, right? And there's like so much that's happening between those two spaces and those vibrations. And what the mucusless diet healing system does is it brings you there. It brings you there with a logical, rational, slow-paced, effective methodology that won't shock the body. Because a lot of the times, if we detox too quick or we do things that are so intense, it could set you back. A lot of people say, oh, this didn't work for me. This vegan lifestyle didn't work for me. This raw vegan, I felt so weak. I was so sick. But there's a process to respect. And what I love, all this to say, like, I love the transition. I love how you teach. And I myself have been guiding my clients and my community through the mucusless diet healing system because it is the
Oh, nice.
best way. And it's the original like vegan blueprint and it's the best. So yeah, all praises to Arnold Ehret for his journey. And he was bedridden too. The doctors told him he was gonna die, all of it. So read the book, definitely get this these codes in you because they could definitely change your life. I know this isn't a question. I was just reiterating what you were
No, it's
saying.
all good, all good. Yeah, that
But
was
yeah,
great.
let's talk a little bit. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about your transition. You were talking about tofu and then the food combining. Food combining is so important. I think it's so important to talk about it. I'm
Hmm.
big on the food combining because we don't want to have people come into this lifestyle and not feel good, and they're like, even to this day, like I see all these smoothie bowls with, the berries and the coconut milk and then the nuts on top, and I'm just like, like I can feel it in my own stomach. I've always, well,
Yeah.
in the last years, I've been like very sensitive. So, what was it that really clicked for you, and at what point did you start feeling really good on this? Like, yeah.
So what the beauty of my experience with the mucusless diet healing system is for years I experimented a lot with a lot of different things. So I remember as you were talking about the food combining, there was a roommate I had who was just like a, just a normal college student, standard American diet, all that. And I at the time was exploring like mono meals of fruit. And I was like, no, man, there's like really something to this about not mixing watermelon with toast and pasta and or meat. Like just have the fruit by itself. And you know, because we don't wear the nice white coats, because we didn't get the 10-year degrees, who are we to say these things? It's just an anecdote. It's just your experience in your body. So he didn't take it. He even found some studies that said it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Um, but to me, I was like, nah, man, like I don't get as bloated. I have better bowel movements. And so the whole food combining thing, that was like the genesis, that was the seed, was those years. And I get into the mucusless diet healing system, and in lessons 15, 16, and 17, it takes that long before Eric starts talking about how to eat. You you get into these menus, and one could argue they're not supposed to be followed. They're not supposed to like be perfectly followed, but rather they demonstrate the mechanics, the food combining and the timing guidelines. And you start seeing that, oh, so you have a combination salad. That's a new term. Why not just say salad? And then a certain cooked vegetable, and then you have starch, but you eat it in a certain way. Like that's new. And for those that don't know, combination salad is a mix of vegetables that act as a broom in the body. Because think about this, if I were to eat kale, right? If I were to eat kale, my body wouldn't completely break it down and absorb it in its entirety, right? I would see some of that kale leave. So that lets me know my body can't digest everything it eats. And so as that rough fiber travels through my intestines, it's going to push against the walls of my intestine and broom off any waste that was loosened. Getting a little bit ahead, but that was the first time it started to make sense on paper. But man, I sucked at it. And so I started checking out Spear's YouTube video where he talks about um, how he started to structure his food combining. And so I learned like, okay, if I eat fruits, I'm gonna almost always like eat them alone. We do have a two-course meal in the mucus diet, which I'll touch on later, but I learned like, okay, around 1 to 2 fruits in season, that can be a meal. And then with the vegetables, the there's like a base that you want to create where you'll use in the beginning rough greens. So like cabbage, kale, shredded carrot. You could do like broccoli stem shredded. I've been on that lately. And then there's certain seasoning vegetables to add like more flavor because vegetables are vegetables. They're not bursting with flavor like fruit. And then you start mixing in cooked vegetables to help satiate you. We say elimination. The term that would make sense for everyone else would be detox. So the body's process of loosening and dissolving internal obstructions, and then the expelling, the elimination of them. So when we say elimination, that's what we're referring to. Cooked vegetables, salads, they help slow eliminations down. They help slow that process down because now the body is forced to put energy into the digestive process rather than the elimination process. And if you have a mucus forming item, which is something we didn't talk on too much, but basically, Eric believed that all disease was caused by obstruction. So, mucus, drugs, harmful acids, and other wastes inside the body. And it's one of those, like I said, mucus, there's certain foods which, when we eat them, don't digest. And so they putrefy and they break down into this sticky, slimy substance that resembles mucus, the naturally occurring mucus in the body, but it's not the body's naturally occurring mucus. It just resembles it. So we actually use some of those foods, moderately and slightly mucus forming foods, because they're very helpful at keeping you grounded
Mhm.
as you move away from the most harmful foods. Because that's what the transition, as if I toss that word around, transition diet, it's it's the act of using less harmful mucus-less foods that don't create mucus and less harmful mucus-forming foods to get off of the most harmful acid and mucus-forming foods, which are generally like animal products. So sometimes you actually do use a mucus-forming item. Oftentimes you will, especially in the beginning, with your salad. So have your salad, your cooked vegetable, and then that mucus-forming item, and you eat them in a structured way. Spirit talks about it a lot, and that structured way of eating allows you to just have effortless bowel movements. So this concept of constipation, as it relates to the digestive tract, is almost a thing of the past. Once your body stabilizes with the practice of the mucusless diet, it takes a little bit to get there, but once you're there, it becomes so obvious what your body doesn't agree with, because you'll be having two, three, four bowel movements a day effortlessly. You eat something, even if you combined it right, and it's like, I'm not going to the bathroom.
Mhm.
This is all right. I can't use that
Yeah.
anymore. And you keep it going. But until you get to that point where where you understand the spacing between meals, where you're eating and you're not getting excessively bloated or excessively fatigued, in my opinion, it becomes really hard to gauge how uh, useful or how harmful a food is. So, yeah, I covered a lot there, but yeah.
That's wonderful. No, it's good. Yeah, I think it's important that we explain what is a mucus forming food. I mean, you described it really well. It's a food that the body doesn't really recognize, right, as such. And then the mucus is formed to actually protect the body. It's actually formed to protect the organs and all that. But yeah, like you said, it's not really supposed to be there. So yeah, we're talking, let's just go over like a few of the, let's just name some of the food just for those who, have never heard about this at all. So yeah, you said animal products. So we're also looking at gluten items, like breads and pastas and rice, those kinds of food. Anything that's like processed. You mentioned alcohol and toxic substances and things like that, acid forming substances. So anything that the body is really not meant to be digesting and putting into the body. And you're right, like the more sensitive we are, the more we feel it, and I've certainly like gone back to certain foods in my journey, and I'm not perfect. I'm still in my transition. I'm still experimenting, and it's like I feel it right away. I know exactly the next day I'll like feel it in my eyes, I'll see it on my tongue. It's like our body starts to respond in really incredible ways. So don't worry if you're not like sensitive yet to that. Like it'll come over time as you detox, as you do the enemas as well, which is another thing that I really love about our community here is we talk about, the distilled water and lemon enemas to clean out the bowels, to clean out the colon regularly. So it's something that we, need to be doing. Constantly. We also talking about juice cleansing, fasting, for like different levels as well as we go deeper into it. But I just love it makes so much sense to me as well, including those cooked vegetables like the sweet potatoes and the green beans and the cauliflower and the broccoli. Like, we're not being dogmatic where it's like, no, cooked foods don't have any nutrients. First of all, I don't believe that anymore. I think, cooking your foods like slightly actually helps certain vegetables to be more bioavailable, and I don't think we're killing all the nutrients. Like raw is amazing, but personally like eating a few like raw carrots is not really that great for my digestion, as opposed to like having them a little bit cooked. So yeah, even zucchini, like I feel better with the zucchini slightly cooked.
Oh
um
yeah.
oh my God, your zucchini recipe, by the way, It is it is beyond. I'm actually gonna share about it because it was so good. Zucchini with the broccoli and a little like cashew sauce. Mwah, like it was so delicious. Um, but yeah, it's all about the elimination and for it not to create like that slimy goo in the body is the most important. And I even love how there's stages to that and you created some content around that where like toast, for example, and like you would say like, okay, year one, you know, how like toast, the level, even in a toast, like if you toast the toast, it's less mucus forming than a wet toast, you know, or like a piece of toast that hasn't been toasted. So the more toasted you have it, the better it is for the body to process and eliminate. And then another level, you said that it was the I haven't made these yet, but was it almond flour tortillas with water?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that. Like, let's say somebody wants to come off the bread, right? Because, hello, it is so addictive. Like, let's we need some help getting off the bread. What would you recommend over like, let's say a 3 year process?
Yeah. So I'm gonna get to that, but just so
Okay.
everyone knows,
Yes.
with the just to clarify the mucus, like what is a mucus forming food, what is a
Yes.
mucus-free food, and then the most harmful stuff. With mucus-free foods, those are fresh, fat-free fruits, like ripe, raw, or cooked without fat, leafy green, non-starchy vegetables, and then juices, fruit and vegetable juices. And then mucus forming foods that we use on the transition are all starches like potatoes, grains, breads, beans, cereals, all plant-based fats, so seed oils, olive oils, nuts. And then we do use processed vegan food in certain cases, like if you're really craving meat, go eat some
Yeah.
impossible
Yeah.
beef. That is going to be less harmful than the meat. Eat it correctly with a salad. And then the foods that we suggest that you stop using right away are what we call pus forming foods. So they're acid forming and mucus forming, and those would be the animal products. So when it comes to getting off of the bread, I started with toast. So we use well, Eric talks about using the whole grain bread in the beginning, and that's because whole wheat flour is less paste forming than white flour. And that's extremely important because if you're going to eat something which is a good paste former, it is very sticky, very gluey. Imagine what that's going to do in your intestines, right? It's going to stick. And though you might have a bowel movement, though you might see it leave, there's a lot of residue of that food left inside of your intestines. And because it's food and because your body is like an eternal spring, an eternal summer, it's moist, it's hot, it's warm, that food is going to decay inside of you. And that's where it decays into that sticky, slimy substance that resembles mucus. Um, so when you toast something, you neutralize the starch's gluey properties. So white bread, if you want to make it less sticky, toast it very well. Instead, I would suggest use whole wheat because it already is less paste forming, but when you toast it, it is even less gluey. However, you don't want to eat it alone. You don't just have a meal of a mucus forming item alone. You wanna sandwich it in between your vegetable meals. So by that I mean bites of your raw salad with some bites of your cooked vegetable meal and some bites of your mucus forming item, all sandwiched together. Professor Spira pioneered that way. And in the mucusless diet healing system, you'll find that Eric eats his salad, eats the cooked vegetables, and then eats the mucus last. When I did that, usually there would be just like a bad aftertaste.
Mhm.
I'd usually be like very tired because sometimes, or not tired, very dry mouth because a lot of times mucus forming items could have salt in them, and that's just really uncomfortable. So you kind of wash that out of your mouth by making the last few bites of your meal your salad, and you always want to eat more vegetables than you do your mucus forming end. That is extremely important. Um, so that being said, I started with the toasted whole wheat toast. And I mean, I went crazy. I was slathering tomato sauce on it. I was putting beans. I was putting all types of spices. I was onions, sauteing that. Oh man, if you could put it on toast, I put it on toast. I was going nuts. And it just it just really wasn't eliminating like that great. And later on, I caught wind of the tortillas. So I started using whole wheat tortillas. Spira, and I'll be making a video on this soon for the membership. But if you check out the Facebook group, you can find it. Spira has a recipe for his pizza replacement. It's called Spira's Pizza, and it's just a almond flour tortilla with tomato sauce, vegetables, and seasonings, and you just bake it, and it comes out, and it is so good. Tortillas just eliminates so much better than toast. And that's just my experience. It might be different for someone else, but for me, they're just lighter and and how well something eliminates is extremely important. It's the number one thing. It's the name of the game when it comes to the mucusless diet healing system. How well did this meal eliminate? And you could eat the same meal, the same vegetables, same cooked vegetables, but change the mucus and it will eliminate entirely different. So that lets you know, like, okay, maybe I shouldn't use that item. So
Mhm.
I stayed with that whole wheat tortilla for a minute, and then I'd return back to the toast, whole wheat tortilla, not go to the toast as often, and suddenly I was just almost always eating the whole wheat tortilla. Then I went to this event we have called the Arrett Day, where
Yes.
we celebrate the legacy of Arnold Arrett, and it was amazing, man. They got this huge, huge cabin, huge cabin. It was like a log mansion. It was amazing, and man, I was walking by this group of guys that were by the oven, and they were just like they were tossing in these things into the oven like they were dealing out cards. I was like, what are y'all doing? It was almond flours, tortillas, and I'd never had them before. So I was like, yeah, give me a few. And they toasted them and I had them with a salad and I probably ate them every single day for the next like 2 or 3 months after that because they are so satiating. They eliminate so much better than any of the wheat products that I tried. And they just feel less harmful in the body than wheat.
Mhm.
And that's the really interesting part is when you start the practice, the whole wheat toast is going to be arguably universes ahead of the steak and the pizza and the Chinese takeout. But but what is a less harmful food might become a more harmful food as your body becomes cleaner and it starts to have less of a tolerance for those moderately mucus forming items. Now it's like, hey, I need you to move to a slightly mucus forming item. So that's where the almond flour tortillas came in because I don't eat toast today. If I have the toast, it feels like bugs are crawling under my skin, which is not the experience I had when I first started my practice. So I went store-bought almond flour tortillas and then I found a recipe. Well, I was given a recipe through a community member. That's what I love about the community. They have everything.
Yeah.
You just have to ask the question. And it was a 2 ingredient almond flour tortilla. Um, it had its shortcomings, so I added just a little bit. Like I started to use olive oil more, and it allows it to saute a lot better to like really crisp it up. But it's just almond flour, psyllium husk, olive oil, and water. That's like the base. I use this dried sea vegetable known as salicornia,
Mhm.
white salicornia to be specific. It is like a 1-to-1 to rock salt, but the way it leaves the body is so much smoother
Yes.
than rock salt. It does not freeze your lymphatic system, your sewage system like rock salt does. I never get the salt hangovers or the salt headaches that I do with the rock salt.
Mhm.
So I love it. I add that in there for some flavor, and then I have a ridiculous amount of spices and seasonings. So yesterday I made a garlic pesto, dairy-free pesto, almond flour tortillas, and I mean they just eliminate like a dream with the psyllium husk. Sometimes it almost feels like a gentle laxative because psyllium husk is used in a lot of
Yes.
laxatives because it expands when it's wet, and that helps build the bulk that our intestines need for a good bowel movement, which is the one of the main roles of vegetables is they provide all that fiber for a nice big bowel movement, nice good bowel movement. Um, but yeah, just the toast to the whole wheat tortilla to the store-bought almond flour tortilla to now the homemade almond flour tortilla, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
I think just that tip and this method of eating could literally save somebody's life.
I
Literally.
believe so. I believe so.
Because this sometimes we don't know what to eat anymore. I'm gonna answer your question, Queen Karen. Hey, thank you so much for joining. Um, she left us a nice message. She's saying,
Sweet.
super impressed with the level of you younger generation. Oh,
Oh,
you guys are so
that's so
articulate
kind.
regarding your experience and knowledge process. She started in 1978. Wow, that's amazing. Um, she's asking about coconut wraps, but I just want to like come back to, yeah,
Okay.
come back. Like this tip, all you have
Keep
to
a note
do is
about them.
just find a few of your favorite items that, like you said, eliminate well, feel good, combine well. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes we think, oh, I have to do this and I have to do that. And every night I have to eat something different. Like, we really don't. We could like really stick to what we like, what works, and our body literally gets used to it. So I love, that the title of tonight is mucus free, made simple, because we want you to succeed with this lifestyle. And I think you could do so much with a tortilla, right? You could like
Oh yeah.
you could wrap it up, you could have it flat, you could make a sandwich. You could just like, do so many things. You could toast it more, make crackers, have a little like dip on the side. Make it
Make
Italian style,
chips.
make it Mexican style. Like I could think of like 100 different things we could do with those tortillas. I have yet to make the tortillas actually. I need to make them. I'm gonna try making them. But yeah, definitely. Thank you so
Put
much
the
for that
recipe
tip.
out soon. Yeah.
Yes, yes. But during the day, like just keep it simple again. Like those mono meals, like you were saying, fruit meal, a watermelon, a big watermelon meal. That's a meal. And then a juice. That's another meal. Like there you go. You have your full day covered with the fruit. That's how I prefer to do it. Like I like to have my fruit during the day. And that's also, what is recommended. Maybe a little bit of greens could be fine. And then I like to move into my little bit more denser grounding veggies like in the evening time or in the late afternoon. And that's it. Like that's the whole day right there. Or even just a salad with some sweet potato in the evening time, with the fruit during the day. Like there we go. We don't even have to break our head anymore. Doesn't that like simplify our life so much more, to eat this way and to know that it's going to flow through the body? And also I wanted to touch a little bit on the mucoid plaque after, but what do you think? What do you think of the coconut? I know we're not big on like the avocados in our community. Yeah, what do you think of those coconut wraps?
So just for clarity, is like coconut wraps like you're putting coconut in a wrap, or
So
not too sure
they
what it
they
is.
sell them. I've seen them. I've tasted them. They're actually
Could
really
look it up real
good.
quick.
Yeah, I think it's just coconut meat. It's the coconut meat and water, and they make the wrap just same way like with the almond flour, but they make it with the coconut meat.
Oh, okay. I'm seeing it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak on it because I've never done it, but coconut is a it's a plant-based fat, so it would
Hmm.
be a nice mucus forming item. Um, I mean, it's pretty interesting because it, it goes it goes to like, well, how does your body respond to it?
Yes, yes.
I know Professor Spira, he can't do coconut. Coconut will give him, it's like the only thing I've heard him describe as like what people describe as like heartburn, like he'll feel the acid in his throat. Uh, but we have other community members that they can just no problem with the coconut. So
Hmm.
if you were to use a coconut wrap, fill it up with a lot of vegetables, have a
Hmm.
nice big salad on the side, maybe some
Yes.
steamed broccoli, some baked zucchini, um, along with it, and you ate it and it didn't lock you up. You were having bowel movements in less than 24 hours, uh, and like healthy, not little things. Then I would say, yeah, if it works for you, it works for you. Um, then yeah, with the avocado and all that stuff, I know that might be a controversial take, but even the avocados can be useful sometimes, but it all goes back to elimination. I loved avocados. I started the mucusless diet. I can't eat them. They
Yeah.
lock me up. I tried I took like a year break. I went back to them and still same thing. But they taste great. They taste
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
I'm sad about the avocados too. I still have them on occasion, like some less. When I first went raw vegan, I was having way too many avocados and
Yeah.
like big bowls of guacamole. But then I found out that it was actually yeah constricting and cause constipation. So I relax on the avocados and we'll just have like a little bit if I do have it. Yeah, those coconut wraps, I mean, they're delicious. I have had them. Again, depending how I eat them, what I combine them with. For me, I have to be very careful with the coconut too. I tend to not really digest them that well. So I would just say like try it out. Maybe try one, like you said, with a big salad or chew them really well too. I think like how we eat also affects our digestion and the process. If we're chewing it really well, we're really like masticating, combining it really well in the mouth, mixing it with saliva. So not just like taking a bite and just swallowing it. Like for me, yeah, the chewing makes a big difference. Um, but yeah, you could also
Yeah.
make, I know we're not crazy about like the dehydrated foods that much, but like some kind of veggie cracker could be also a good replacement for the bread, like, you know, mixing it with some salad, like having it with, the psyllium husk, a little bit of veggies, like
Oh yeah.
carrots, onions, zucchini, and then, putting it in the dehydrator a little bit. To me, it's still better than having like, a piece of bread. So those are all alternatives.
Most likely would eliminate a lot better. And if I had a dehydrator, I'd do it. These days I toast the almond flour tortillas in the
Mhm.
shape of like chips.
Mhm.
But I imagine that that dehydrator process would be even cleaner because it would most likely be mucus free.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we're waiting for that recipe. I put the ingredients in the comments. Almond flour, water, psyllium husk. I wrote siluk husk, but you know what I mean, and olive oil. But we'll be waiting for your full recipe.
It's coming soon.
What's the biggest challenge you would say? Like, okay, like we know this
Mm.
rationally, we know what we should be eating, we know like what to be doing. And another thing that I really love in this community is we do address the emotional detox that a lot of us go through on this journey. Because it's not just about knowing what to eat, right? If everybody just knew what to eat, we would all be like super healthy, right? But but
Mhm.
there's like that emotional component. What what has helped you on your journey to overcome those cravings and to move through, the emotional aspect that's like, connecting us to the food, whether it's our family or memories or tradition, anything like that. I see Spirit talks a lot about like, social settings, is what makes people fall the most. Yeah, tell us a little bit about like what helps you to overcome and what advice you would give to others who are going through that.
So we have a practitioner in our community named Brother Air, Willie Smart Jr., and he's been practicing for almost 40 to, oh my God, it must be like 50 years now. He blazed the path when it comes to a lot of the physical things, in my opinion. He taught Professor Spira, and Spira took it even further and blazed the path with the emotional elimination aspect. The emotional eliminations are one of the most overlooked things in this practice. And I think just dietetics in general, people focus on the food, but uh, we use food to suppress a lot of things.
Yeah.
And when you start eating in a way that bring things out physically, don't be surprised if it brings things out mentally. So Spira has this really cool concept where he analyzes the body, the mind, and the spirit. And so which one of those would you think is the weakest? If I were to analyze myself, my mind needs constant help. I have to be on my meditation. I need to be mindful. I need to be focused. I need to be present. Um, my spirit is by far all my spiritual practices, that's the most evolved without question. Um, so when I look around, especially when I was still like in the workforce, a lot of people, I would say the mind is the weakest part. And usually what takes people out that I've seen the most is social issues.
Mhm.
So making a change and family members whose opinions you care about,
Yeah.
friends whose opinions you care about, or one of the hardest obstacles for people is a cultural identity. Um, those things can derail people very hard because they can't say no
Mhm.
to the elder in their family that offers them food because that's viewed as disrespectful.
Yeah.
And I mean no disrespect when I say this, but if an elder gave you a bowl of cyanide and with lead and liquid mercury in it and gave it to you with a smile and was like, I made this for you, would you eat it? No. But because instead it's in the shape of meat and cheese and a meal which is so deeply rooted in the culture that you came in, but it's something you're trying to get away from, you say yes. You say yes anyway, because it's part of who you identify as, and it's coming from an elder that you don't want to disrespect. So that's something I've seen a lot. And but then you could also just swap out the elder and change it with a close friend. It's the same thing. And it's learning to articulate your boundaries to people where it's like, I mean no disrespect, but I am not doing this anymore. It's one of the hardest conversations because we don't want social injury. We don't want to lose people around us for by changing ourselves. We want to be accepted.
Yeah.
But that's one of the really interesting things about this practice is that Professor Spira and Brother Air, they say this countless times if you go watch their old videos. Like this thing will tear down your life. And it's not in a destructive way. It's you might have built your entire life off this cultural identity and you start practicing the mucusless diet healing system and you realize your cultural identity means eating exclusively mucus forming foods or exclusively pus forming foods with no fruits or vegetables. I can't do that. So I'm going to have to tear that part of myself down and I have to rebuild it with a mucus free foundation. So that's the family side. With the friend side, I take more of a Professor Spira approach, and Professor Spira, he he's even said this himself, like people would call him more extreme on this, but he made a promise that he would not fail, he would not fall off this practice because of social reasons, of social people. So if they don't like it, don't got to be around him. And he's not going to get into people's face. He says, just get out of the way. If people want to go smoke, if people want to go drink, if people want to go eat pus and all that, okay, cool. Just get out of the way. And if they try and drag you, be like, no, 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 like we talked about this. And if they don't respect you cut it off. That's way easier said than done. When you're in the heat of the moment, your emotions are high and you're nervous, and it's someone that you grew up with, someone that you love, and you come to the realization, if I keep you in my space, I
Yeah.
actually won't be as healthy as I can be. That's a horrible position to be in, but that's the crossroads. Because in one direction, if you make the decision to put your health above everything else, who knows how amazing your life can be? Who knows if they come back around later on and they're like, hey, look, like my health is suffering. You've been doing this for decades. You look like you haven't aged a day since the last time I
Yeah.
saw you. What are you doing?
Mhm.
Now you can help them out. Or do you succumb and possibly relapse and fall all the way back and miss out on all the opportunities of your life because you didn't have the health to become the father you wanted to be or the mother you wanted to be, to become the business owner you wanted to be, to become the, insert dream career here that you wanted to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's where Spira and Brother Air and long-term community members have just like they've done their life's work in setting up the foundations for the community. You can, if you want to just plug in, you could go to the Facebook group, Professor Arnold Ehret Mucus Diet Healing System, ran by Professor Spira, and every Wednesday you can join a free Zoom call where you talk with people that are actually practicing this thing and like really practicing it. And you could just listen in. How do they talk? If you want to start the practice correctly, with your hand held and like really avoid all the unnecessary suffering and speak with some of the most dedicated people on the planet when it comes to this, that's when you join the Mucus-free Life membership. And we didn't put a crazy paywall. It's
Mhm.
$47 a month. I could have afforded that when I was working,
Yeah.
just my normal stuff. But there's plugins, man. There's plugins because I haven't come across a person that is practicing this when I'm walking in my day-to-day life. I just connect with everyone over the internet, but that is like that's more than enough. So yeah, the social piece it's real. I don't think it's exclusive to the mucusless diet healing system. I think vegetarians can relate to it. I think vegans can relate to it. I think raw vegans can relate to it. Alkaline vegans, fruitarians,
Yeah.
breatharians, all of them. I think you can relate to it. When you make the change, people around you start looking at you different, start treating you different, and those that are good won't. Keep those ones around, man, because those are special. So yeah, yeah,
Great, great response to that. I do believe that finding a tribe is so important, because we're tribal people. And when we feel different from our clan, our tribe, we literally feel like it's a threat even to our survival, our ancient DNA, like we're meant to be living in tribes and we're meant to
yeah,
be
yeah.
like everybody else, doing like everybody else. And so sometimes we feel excluded from the pack, excluded from the tribe, like black sheep of the family. So yeah, when we come into spaces like this, we feel so included and so appreciated and valued where, some of our own people may be looking at us like we are crazy or we don't know what we're talking about again because we don't have the white coat, we don't have the
Right.
da 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 da, my doctor this and my doctor that. And they listen to those, but why would they listen to little old me who's only had problems and addictions my whole life, And it's like I come around them and they're like, sugar, fruit has too much sugar, and all the fears, need your protein, need your salt, need da, 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 da. And so it's good to come into spaces like this where we do feel what we're doing is recognized and valued. So I absolutely love our community in the private space and also the Facebook group. So I definitely encourage everybody to come in and check it out and connect, ask questions. You all are very, very attentive and present to everybody in the community, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for you all. When I started my path and I kind of like intuitively took on this path, but I was more introduced through like raw veganism at first. So I already kind of knew like some of the basics and I had started juice cleansing. But then when I found Professor Spira, I think it was a video where he was eating like a banana wrapped in lettuce. And I was just like
I don't think I've seen that.
like back in the days, he was like eating. Yeah, I don't think he makes those anymore. Although I have seen him do some fruit mukbangs recently. But yeah, and I was just like, okay, this. He was like, this is food. I can't remember exactly what he was saying, but this is a full meal, and that just lit me up more, and that's what I started. I remember that being like the first time I saw him. But yeah, I've just been following him ever since, and I love his approach. I love how you know, he brings humor to also shock, to help us to realize what it is that humanity is doing. And if we don't make a big change soon, immediately, like yesterday, our planet is in trouble. Humanity is in trouble. There's wars, there's fights, there's illness, dis-ease. There's just so many things that could be avoided when we practice this lifestyle. It makes us more peaceful people. It makes us more loving, more understanding, more compassionate. It brings us to like, seeing what's important in life and seeing beyond the veil of illusion too of the world and people trying to like, put shit in our body, feed our kids a certain way. And it's just like, let's wake up and create, beautiful communities. Been talking about creating like, arid village, like beautiful spaces for us to heal, but not just like for us, but for the whole world. So this is having like a ripple effect. And I always say this, when one person heals, like you heal the whole world. So this is bigger than ourselves. Like, of course, we want to take personal responsibility, each and every one of us. But then, look, even this talk wouldn't even be happening if you weren't taking responsibility for your health and I wasn't taking responsibility for my health. These amazing, beautiful, like new friendships start to blossom as well. We may not have the same friends that we used to do certain things with, but then life, God, like we get aligned with a whole new community of people. Like I feel so blessed to have you in my life as a friend. And
Oh,
that came
I got you.
after, that came after like a long period of isolation. I was like, because I couldn't be around people, I just couldn't be in those settings. I had to shut everything out, for me anyway, for a period of time, because it was just too much, so I had to just kind of put those blinders on and yeah, but then like life offers you a lot of new opportunities, new connections, new partnerships and things like that as you heal yourself. You become like a magnet for that frequency, and we're not even a magnet for those other frequencies that we were connecting with in the past. So this is a very spiritual path. This is way beyond the physical, but we got to start with the physical. We got to start with pooping. We got to start with getting that mucoid plaque out, getting those parasites out. We are filled with parasites. You know, I can't even, that would be like for a whole other video. But yeah. But like I've always been so amazed with what came out of me when I was cleansing and detoxing and doing all the things. So uh,
Yeah.
it's it
That,
continues and it takes a long, long time to fully get clean. I'm not even one of those people that think like, oh, do one juice cleanse and you're gonna be like, no, 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 you're gonna need many, many cleanses. People are like, oh my gosh, you're doing another juice cleanse. Like, why aren't you clean enough? And I'm like, well, no, I don't. I think that the journey continues. Especially if we, dabble back into certain foods, go back into restaurant foods and to the oils and to this, that, that. It could bring back, some of that mucus and some of that mucoid plaque. Not to mention the one that's still inside because it doesn't all get eliminated. But yeah, definitely find a community, come into our community. Thank you so much for, wait, I'm not ready to end. But
yeah, yeah, no,
do
no.
you
I mean,
have,
off the,
any, yeah, do
oh
you have
yeah,
any?
off the stuff you were talking about, you just that point about the mucus that you were just saying.
Mhm,
Spira he doesn't talk about it a lot, but he'll talk about his mucus replacement theory.
mhm.
So Eric says constitutional encumbrances. So first time I read that, I was like, speak English. So let's break it down. So in this context, constitutional, you could think of like, oh, that person has a strong constitution.
Mhm,
It would be like the makeup. And then the encumbrance is that obstruction inside of us. So the constitutional encumbrance, what is the makeup of the waste inside of our body? And you what why this is important, Spear's mucus replacement theory, is because in the mucusless diet, Eric says we don't actually know the amount of obstruction inside the body. Eric has methods visually that and through experimental diagnosis, which is literally what he calls it, that allow you to get a pretty good grasp as to, do I have more mucus in me? Do I have more drugs in me? Do I have more harmful acids in me? And you can also get a good gist of the type of waste inside you by reflecting on the history of your stomach. What have you consumed throughout your entire life? So when you start the practice of the mucusless diet healing system, you're going to see waste leave, but you're going to probably be spending a lot of time with a mode of eating. We generally say mode because the transition diet, this it's not a diet, it's a series of methods, really is what it is, from my understanding right now. It covers a vast array of things. So you could be practicing the mucusless diet healing system, but someone could look at your plate and be like, okay, you're just kind of like kind of like a vegan right now. Then they could look at your plate later and it's like, oh, you're like a raw vegan. Then they could look later and it's like, oh, you're a fruitarian. So what you're going to be spending a lot of time is something we call mucus lean. which is where you have a mucus forming item that eliminates well, that's satiating, with your vegetable meals, usually at the end of the day, or that two-course meal that I mentioned earlier. It's where you have a fruit meal, you wait 15 minutes, bare minimum 15 minutes, and then you have a vegetable meal with preferably like a starch. You can use plant-based fats too. Um, but that mucus is going to go into your body. You ate it. And it's going to get into your body just like all the other mucus got into your body. You ate mucus forming items. But the quality of the mucus in your body is going to be not the same as the mucus produced by the flesh of a cow, right? By pig's feet, by chicken breasts. It's the mucus formed by an avocado is not of the same caliber as that. And so from Spira's perspective, it's like we have been obstructed for generation from generation from generation, and even ourselves, we've been obstructed for decades, that it's almost like this mucus is a part of our physiology. And so it's just like a replacement. And over time, as you spend more time in these mucus-free periods where you're eating in a way that actually produces um, zero mucus residue, and you're only eliminating stuff, and you have the short juice fast where you are really pulling stuff out, you not only replace that really harmful mucus with less harmful mucus, but your constitution, your body is less encumbered, and you have way less, yeah, it's way less mucus in you. Um, and to that being said, what that literally is a change in your physiology. So that's something Professor Spira says a lot, is this path permanently changes your physiology. So for example, if a lot of people's adrenal glands, they sit right above the kidneys. A lot of people's adrenal glands are not functioning like they should. They're damaged.
Yeah.
And so through the practice of the mucusless diet healing system, and really like working with an expert on it, you can really regenerate your adrenal glands and get them back online. That's been my experience. None of this is medical advice, by the way. Um, but that's like a permanent change in my physiology unless I decide to go all the way back. The body I have now is not the same body that I had when I was 22 years old. And it means like, oh yeah, you aged and the cells, it's like, no, like the consciousness that I exist in is entirely different than when I was 21, 22 years old, because my body is functioning differently. And because of that, it is very hard to be around other people. Because when you have, it's like being sober
Yeah.
and going around your friends that still smoke and still drink. It's a very different experience than when you were interacting with them. Even I try to stray away from this, but it's like the vibrations they gave off, the vibe they give off,
Mhm.
the mindsets they're in. It's it's like you're no longer able to do this with them.
Mhm.
And so sometimes you just have to get the mindset of like, if I have to go to work, I'm here for business. I'm gonna be cordial. I'm gonna be nice. But I'm not gonna be joining you guys to lunch. I'm not gonna be hanging out after work like that. We don't got to do that. And it's not even, you could see that and be like, well, that's kind of mean. But it's like, well, if you kept us in a room long enough, we'd very quickly find we don't have a lot in common, and that just might make us a little bit standoffish.
Yeah.
Um, and
It's not
so
it's not mean to protect your energy.
it's not mean to protect your energy. It's not mean to protect your energy. This is actually it's a really good quote.
We're not here to people please. We have to, yeah, we have to look out for ourselves. Yeah.
And even to that reminds me of a conversation I was having with my godfather recently. He was talking about the whole like political state and all that stuff. And so I asked him like, what do you believe is the cause of corruption? Do you think someone is born evil?
Mm.
Do you think it is instilled in them over time? Do you think people are born good? And if someone is evil, can they become good later on? And his answer, if I'm remembering right, was, it's people are born like a blank canvas, and their experiences through life paint them, and that helps cultivate the type of person they are. So if they're put around a bunch of psychopaths that only care about themselves, and they're most likely going to behave that way versus someone that was put around a lot of really kind people. And this isn't absolute, this is just his perspective.
Yeah.
And so after he finished, I was like, I agree a lot with that. Um, but I'll take it like one step further. And you say like it's not mean to protect your energy. The reason why I believe that it's not mean to protect your energy is because through that very act of eating, I believe that people harm their body. I believe that the blood, as the food gets into the blood now has chemistry. It has stuff in it that it was never supposed to have. The blood circulates through the brain, it circulates through the lungs, it circulates through the liver, it circulates everywhere. What type of thought is a brain going to produce when blood is flowing through it that is not the blood that should be flowing through it? Is it going to be thoughts of anger? Is it going to be thoughts of joy, ecstasy? The way that people react to drugs is different, right? Some person smokes weed and they want to go for a walk. Some person smokes weed and they want to go to sleep. Some person drinks and they want to go fight. Some person drinks and they're your best friend. So the way that people react to, and that's, I give full credit to Brother Air for that, because he's the one that pioneered that realization.
Mhm.
Um, the way that people react to these harmful foods is different. I've seen people eat some of, a burger and something else, and they're bouncing off the walls with stimulation because these foods are really stimulating.
Mhm.
And I've seen people have the egg McMuffin, some coffee, and suddenly they're just spewing all this negativity. And I can start seeing the pattern. And so when people have no consciousness of what they put inside of them, they have no consciousness of really, like, in my opinion, of the potential origin, the source of some of these negative behaviors. And if someone can't control their behavior, I don't want to be around them.
Mhm.
Like point blank. And I don't mean that in a mean way, but it's like, would you rather be around someone that won't hurt you, or would you rather be around someone that there's a chance that they'll just get up and punch you in the face and be like, I'm so sorry, like, I didn't even know what I was doing. I'll always have love for them, but it's not mean to protect your energy.
Yeah.
It's not mean to create that space. And you don't have to explain yourself. You can, but that might open up a whole can of worms. So, yeah, that was just something else that came up while you were talking.
It sure makes dating a whole lot harder too.
That's so funny.
No, but I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I think like most people need to parasite cleanse and detox, and I think this will help the entire planet with everything. I really feel like this is like parasitic infestation, dirty blood infestation, constipation issues, pain issues, chronic pain. So many people are living with chronic pain as well, and they're not even
Oh yeah.
sharing it. They're just unwell in their body, and it's like, how can you be well mentally if you're not well physically? I wasn't well mentally when I wasn't well physically. So it goes hand in hand, and my way into this path has been through the mental health, through like
Mm.
wanting to fix the depression, the anxiety, understanding the deeper layers of why I wanted to unalive myself for my whole life, like that's not normal. Like a person should want to live, shouldn't want to like have these dark thoughts so all these things brought me to this path. And today I'm like, oh my gosh, I love myself. I love my life. Like it's just been like you said, I'm not in the same body or I'm not in the same mind as I was 10 years ago or 20 years ago. I'm a completely different person doing completely different things. So it is a complete shift in reality that goes beyond the physical. It's like our cells can now operate at optimal levels. So things are just spinning in the right direction. Because if they're not, then we know what happens through acidosis, through constriction of the bowels. That's when tumors start coming in. That's when, and again, I'm not making any medical claims either. Just,
Two people talking.
yeah, two people talking, but cysts and hormonal issues and everything we're seeing and women issues through different things that we may or not have taken in the past really affect our hormones, therefore affect our mood and all of that. And it all starts with what we're putting into our body. Are we putting the right nutrients in the body? That's not even to mention all the pain, suffering, trauma, fear that comes with eating flesh. These are live beings. These are living sentient creatures that had to go through a absolutely horrifying, terrifying process in order to be on your plate. So this is no joke what we're dealing with on a physical, energetic, spiritual, karmic level as well. Um, and I just encourage people, to just start becoming conscious of what it is and just start making the connections with what is on your plate. Not everybody's ever seen what really happens in, a slaughterhouse. Some people do. Some people have, hands-on experience with it. And a lot of those people have gone vegan, because they've seen it.
Right. Right.
But a lot
Yeah.
of them are desensitized as well. And they're just like, yeah, it is what it is. Animals were here for us to eat and all this. But I truly believe deep in our hearts, we don't want to cause harm upon anybody. If we
Right.
see a dog on the street being beaten, I think anybody would respond to that and say, hey, what the heck are you doing? Why are you hurting that animal? But then when it comes to other animals, we tend to close our eyes or have a blind eye or just like accept it because it's culturally accepted, because everybody's doing it. Who doesn't want to go to a barbecue? Like it's all these, socially accepted things where, men especially may get some backlash for not partaking in these habits,
Tell me about
and
it.
be called less of a man. I mean, we get it too, but I know men, it's like a very virile thing to eat animals, but I mean, there's nothing virile about erectile dysfunction, let me tell you that. And we all
That's
know
so funny.
that, eating these animals at some point will catch up to you and your body and your members. So if you want to be healthy, start taking on these habits and you are going to have a longer sexual life and you're actually going to be more of a man than any man friend eating this way. Um,
I have a question. I actually have two questions for you, Aline.
okay.
But to go off of that that slaughterhouse stuff, there's a video that's going to be going up on Spear's channel tomorrow, which is five mucus-free recipes, five cooked mucus-free
Mhm.
recipes, some of Spear's favorites. And in it, he talks about like just very briefly, like cooked duck, cooked lamb, or cooked dog, cooked cat, cook pig, all this. And so being the video editor, I was like, okay, let me put up some visuals. And for like an hour, I was just scouring the internet and having to watch like dogs get cooked alive, and they get
Mm,
this face, this expression of fear just like frozen onto them.
mm.
And then they go and they cut off the paws and they just
Uh,
toss these like almost like a rotisserie chicken type carcass onto a cart and just pull it along. And there's just like five dogs on top of each other. Or a cat, after they kill the cat, they're just like rubbing it as hard as they can. So the fur just starts to fall off and it's just this limp body, and they just kind of like burn it in between some stacks of hay, or the last one, but they'll like cut a pig's throat and put it upside down, hanging, and sometimes they don't kill the pig. And what they do to ensure that it's dead is they put its head in boiling water and they
oh my
just run it
God.
through this thing of boiling water for a long time. Sometimes they don't kill the pig. So the pig breaks free and it goes in the boiling water and it's fighting for its life, bleeding out. And it's just like, wow, that is what went through. Like that is what it took to get some of these things in the grocery stores. And I think about uh the spirit coined this term like physiological karma. What does your body have to go through because of what you ate? Is he often says like the least I could do is get a bit of a cold or flu-like symptoms as I eliminate all this mucus for having contributed to the death and consuming like a dead animal. Um, so that yeah, it's deep. like that whole slaughterhouse piece, I think I don't recommend people just jump into it. But it's like when you have that emotional composure and the ability to eliminate that stuff, that's like a really good way to, in my opinion, like stay stay plant-based
Yeah.
on top of having a rational transition
Mhm.
in the mucusless diet. But my questions for you, the first one was with the dating scene. I've heard Brother Air say this, where uh, he's like he really encourages the women to not let men touch them until they get themselves together, until they start eating plant-based, until they really like get on top of their health.
Yeah.
He's specifically pushing for the mucusless diet healing system, and he's specifically talking to mucus-free female practitioners. But that's one question for you. It's like if you had a message to all the men that are in the whole, even just watching this or
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'd say that, but just like a message to the men when it comes to dating. Like, what would you
Mm.
say for them to get it together? And do you recognize when your perspective shifted? Because you talked about how, you weren't really happy with your life before, and you weren't even sure you wanted to keep going. Was there a definitive moment, a defining moment where your perspective shift that you can notice? That now it's like, no, I actually don't want to take my life. Like, I want to be here. I want to keep living. Or was it just a sudden realization one day where it was such a gradual transformation that you just woke up and it's like, I have a sense of joy. Like, I really love my life, and I didn't have this before. Those are my two questions for you.
All right, great questions. Great questions. Ooh, well, let's start with the men. Let's start with
All
our
right, brothers, listen up.
our amazing kings. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up and take better care of yourselves, because whew, especially with what's going on in the world, like I think there's a lot of hormone disruptors in these foods, right? So just coming off the cow titty juice is gonna help you to be more of a man, first of all, because a man shouldn't be drinking those hormones, right? You're not a baby cow. So that's my first message. Stop drinking baby cow juice. If you don't want to start developing breast cancer, if you don't want to start acting like a woman. Like there's just a lot of stuff going on that I feel men and it's done by design too. So start just realizing what's been happening in the society, in the world to I feel emasculate men, make men weak, sick, and not who we women need you to be. You know what I mean? Like we need men to be strong and resilient and healthy and vibrant and responsible, in our lives. And I don't know what's been going on, honestly, over the last 10, 15 years. I have noticed a big change in men in general.
Mm.
I personally will not even sleep with a man who isn't on this path for a long time. Like I have been celibate for 2 years. And I had my last aha moment with a man who was not on this path. And I said, that is the last time I do that, because I just felt it energetically. I felt the disconnect. Um, and that's it. I've just been saving myself and staying celibate. So where am I going with this? Like, if you want to attract a healthy woman, you have to be healthy yourself. A healthy woman will not want to make out with you if you have like,
Burger juice all
dead
up in your
animal,
beard.
yeah, like dead animal breath on you and you're not smelling good. Like we smell that. I smell that. I feel that. And I think even in terms of like being yoked equally. Like, I don't really want to be with a man who's like gonna be cooking animals in our kitchen. Like, that just doesn't even make sense to me. Like, why are we gonna do this? Why are we gonna bring this in? So, if like we match each other's vibration, and that may not be for every man, you know what I mean? Like maybe those things are not important to you, but I think in terms of elevating and creating conscious relationships, conscious, like you were talking about the trust piece and being with somebody who treats themselves well, that makes me trust them to be good to me. Like if they're not treating themselves well, like how are they going to treat me well? How do I know they're not just going to be like a flight hazard or come aggressive? Like I've been in those relationships where men were very, very just stuck emotionally because they were stuck physically. They didn't know how to express themselves. They didn't know how to have healthy communication. They were very jealous, very repressed emotionally. I don't want to get into like my history there, but it just never really was on that conscious level that I'm looking for. So I think the more conscious we become within ourselves, the more conscious we want our partners to be. And I'm just not going to settle for anything less than super high consciousness within themselves. So if I'm going to be like choosing a partner, I'm looking at what's their how do they care for themselves? And that's a big reflection for me. And I think that's
Mm,
why so many women we have a lot, I feel a lot more women still, unfortunately, in this movement. And many of us are choosing celibacy. Many of us are choosing to be single because we're just
yeah,
struggling
I've
to
seen that.
find men who match our level of discipline, our level of self-love, and all of that. So I think we all have work to do. I'm not saying we women are, perfect, but I think a lot more women are becoming more conscious and taking really good care of ourselves. And yeah, we need men to level up and elevate and see that it's cool to be healthy. It's awesome to be different. It's like it makes you a pioneer, it makes you a leader, it makes you strong. It doesn't make you weak, on the contrary. So yeah, I just encourage men to get this information, to really like dive deep within themselves and follow. Also, I love the documentary Game Changers, and even beyond like everything that we've been talking about. Game Changers is a great one. It's all super athletes that are plant-based, and you'll see that the strongest men and women in this world are plant-based. We build muscles from amino acids, from the fruits, from the vegetables, from the plants kingdom. We don't have to go through the animals to get our strength. So yeah, movies like Game Changers, What the Health. I love that documentary. There's a lot more on Netflix as well. But just like getting new kind of information, new knowledge beyond the keto, beyond the like protein bros, and you ask them what the heck is a
Right.
protein, and they don't even know what a protein is. Protein is made inside the body. Like you don't eat protein, you make it, you metabolize it from the amino
Yeah,
acids. So just learn, unlearn and learn something new.
right.
Um, yeah, basically.
That was a
And I
great
have a lot
answer.
more to say to men, but we'll just leave it there.
Yeah, this now the extended cut behind the paywall.
We'll have to have a
Yeah,
whole other video from my message to men.
that's awesome.
Um,
Not
and then the other question, yeah, I think it was like mm, many, many moments. It wasn't one. How to say? Well, when I first went plant-based, I definitely had an elevation there. There was a level up. And simply because I needed to go to the bathroom, I always share this. Like I was very, very constipated, and I remember that bloated belly, like I hadn't pooped in
Oh
five
yeah,
days. And that was just common to me. Like I sometimes would go like 4 or 5 days without using the bathroom once, and I just thought that was normal until it started really being painful. So at that point, I mean, I was living in Belize. There was nobody doing this out there. I think I just looked it up online. I was like, what helps with constipation? And I just saw that eating meat took longer to eliminate from the body. And I was just like, oh, that makes sense. So I
right.
stopped eating right away. And after those first few days, I instantly felt lighter, felt better. It was almost like I was like walking on a little cloud. So I remember that very clearly being the first time. And then,
Wow, that's cool.
but then like I did that for almost a year. And, but I was in a relationship at the time and it was an issue in the relationship. So I ended up going back to eating animals for a little while. And then it was when I went to Thailand, that's when I had my full vegan kind of awakening there. And I wasn't completely raw, but I was mostly raw. My friend was making me these green smoothies and I was doing yoga every day. I just had that another like level up at that point where I was like combining the spirituality, the meditation with mostly raw foods. And then I was like, okay, this is how I feel really, because I didn't know what I was doing before. I was eating a lot of bread, rice, beans, all those things. So then when I did mostly raw, that was another elevation. So yeah, and then juice cleansing was another, it was just like levels to it. But I still kind of dipped in and out of the depression over the years, and plant medicine helped me a lot too when I did iboga. That was like because then I was,
Iboga.
yeah, I was still struggling a lot with it with addictions too throughout my whole health journey. So it was like I would do like really, really great.
Yeah.
I would get on a juice cleanse and then boom, like fall back into the alcohol and the substances and then get back up. So like I was vegan throughout the last 11 years. However, in those years, I had a lot of periods where I was like, you know, using and doing all these self-harming things. Um, but I never came off the vegan path, no matter what.
Let's
Even when
go.
even
Yeah.
when I would go to rehab, I would be like, okay, I don't do desserts, I don't do this, I don't do that. And they were like, you're literally the healthiest addict we've ever seen. They're like, well, you
Yeah.
don't do sugar, but you do X, Y, and Z. And I was like, yeah, sugar's the worst. Like, I was like, no, I don't do gluten. I don't eat this. So like I had my rules with the food. So it's kind of funny. Yeah.
That's
But
awesome.
but I was
Did you
committed. Yeah.
I was gonna ask, did you make any friends with any people in those places that you're still close with that like adopted the plant-based lifestyle?
Within the rehab world, well, I made two best friends. I'm still in touch with some of them. A few passed away, actually. I lost a few friends through that process, but one of them was my best friend who she recently passed away of cystic fibrosis. It was a long battle over the years, but me and her became best friends. We met there, and her husband met in there, so it was like the three of us. And she had been sick since she was very, very young, and I tried to help her, but I don't know if you know cystic fibrosis. It's a whole beast that I will not pretend to understand the beginning of it, but she was very, very like sick, in and out of hospitals. But anyway, she at some point, yeah, she was definitely interested and learning. She knew that, cheese was mucus forming and cystic fibrosis is an issue with the mucus, exactly that. And I mean, the hospitals were just giving her cheese and bacon, and for them, it was like she
Oh,
had to eat like a high caloric diet, and otherwise she would feel very tired and sick. But also those people who
man.
suffer with that, they need like a lot of calories to stay how to say, like they burn a lot of calories, so they're very, very skinny typically. They're very underweight a lot of the time. But it was just like, oh, it's a big mess. And at the end, towards the end of her life, and I was making juices for her and things like that, and I was encouraging her to even go on a liquid fast because anyway, she had gastroparesis and her stomach was just, she had a whole, so many issues. And towards the
Man.
end of her life, like a few weeks before she passed, the doctors were like, oh yeah, we recommend she do a juice cleanse, because she was scared to do a juice cleanse up until that point. But I was like, get on a juice cleanse, get on a juice cleanse. And she just, she was struggling. But they even recommended a juice cleanse.
A
That is the first
medical?
time I heard a doctor recommend a juice cleanse. Yeah, yep,
A medical?
yep.
Wow.
Because she really just was backed up. So at that point, I was like, okay, things must be really bad, for them to recommend she stop eating. But she had gone through two double lung transplants over the years, so she was a walking miracle. Like, the medical
Whoa.
industry really does, like they do have amazing things. I mean that's a miracle, right? To
They
replace
have their
somebody's
place. Oh
somebody's
yeah.
lungs, and
They have
she
their
was
place.
like dead on the table for days and resuscitated so many times. Like she was a miracle. But anyway, so she was my best friend, and then I also made one of my coaches actually. He We became close friends afterwards. He really helped me. And now, he sends me pictures of his plant-based meals. And I made him lentil soup when
Wow.
I was there in Austin. And, he's trying. So he's learning from me now. It's like the coach is but like
Yeah.
he's very open to me coaching him with the food. So, and even when I was there, I was making food, and to this day, he's like, "Man, if I had someone like you like making food for me, I would definitely be vegan," you
Yeah.
know? So he
Yeah, that's what
remembers
they, yeah.
that. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool that you were able to switch, change some people's lives and kind of expose them to this. I think that being exposed is like one of the most important things. One of my favorite compliments after feeding anyone this practice is when they lean back and they're like, "Woo, I didn't know vegetables could be so filling." It's like, yeah, yeah. And then
Yeah.
hours later, they're like, "I'm still full." It's like, you know. But that's
So
that's the
good.
thing is people don't really have the type of exposure that I think they actually think they have when it comes to this. They
Mm.
might eat some canned vegetables when they're younger in life and be like, I don't like vegetables. And it's like, yeah, you ate green peas that were canned for 4 months. I don't like those either.
Yeah.
And yeah, when you give them a meal that you make for yourself, it's like, ah, yeah, yeah, it's amazing. But wow,
Well,
Aline, your
it's
your journey is crazy. Oh no, keep going. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that, like it's all the programming, and then I'm going to answer Karen's question as well. But I think it's a lot of indoctrination that we need to undo from our psyche, to believe like, oh, we need this, this, this to be full, right? It's like a complete meal. We've been brainwashed with the food guide with like, oh, you need a little bit of this and a little bit of starch and a little bit of meat. It's like it's not. It doesn't feel like a complete meal unless we have all these things. So then you have somebody like yourself who's like, "Hey, did you know that watermelon is a meal?" And then that, to me, that's like that was a revelation. I know it sounds so simple, but for me, like an apple is a snack. It was a snack. It wasn't a meal. So to start thinking of fruit as a meal was a whole revelation. To think I could just eat fruit for a few days was a whole other like level, and I've done it, and I feel so good on it, and it's like, oh my gosh, why am I not starving? Why am I not like fainting?
Right, right.
What is a protein? Who am I? What am I doing? And then to go onto water, I water fasted for 23 days. I got kicked
Wow.
out of one of my rehabs because they thought I was gonna pass out there. And they were like, you can't stay here. And I said, well, God wants me to continue. So that's a whole other, you know what I mean? Like I know people who've fasted for 40 days on water, and it makes you wonder, like, what are we made of? And what have we been taught in terms of lies? So anyway, all this to come back to the vegetables, like, yeah, a salad is a meal, cooked veggies is a complete meal. You chew that well, you have the right mindset, you give it time to work into your body and to digest, and you don't need anything else. It may need a bit of time to adjust. You may need some of those transitional, you know, Beyond Meat burgers or whatever you got to do, do it. I went through it. I still have the tofu sometimes. You know what I mean? Like we're
Yeah.
we're 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 letting
Transition.
go of a lot of addictions, of a lot of comforts and textures. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So long as it's, yeah, seen as transitional food. And you can make great like veggie burgers at home. If you want a recipe, let me know. I got like a great sweet potato burger. I'm actually putting together a recipe book as well. This is something that I've been dreaming of. I'm just like lacking a little bit of discipline in putting it together. But I've never said this out loud, so I'm saying it to
Oh,
you
you're on the
first.
hook now.
You've
Yeah,
heard it first
yeah.
here. I'm like, man, I have so
Commit.
many recipes. Um, yeah, yeah. So yeah, you can make like really great veggie burgers at home. Um, well, now that I have
I've
the
used
almond
juice pulp.
flour tortilla recipe, it's gonna have to go in there. Would you say the juices?
I was gonna say the juice pulp. I use sometimes green juice pulp, and you
Oh,
can saute it in just a
oh.
little bit of oil and maybe even a little bit of water. And yeah, this stuff's very good sometimes. You put that
Mm,
into your salad. I think we had a community member. I think it was the second Erit day or third Erit day
yeah.
that they were making celery juice, and they just took the celery juice pulp, just kind of turned it to like a little patty and just sauteed it on a really high heat. We use grapeseed oil because the smoke point is a lot higher. And Yeah, like that was like a mucus-free patty, mucus-free veggie patty. But yeah, yeah. So I didn't mean to take the mic. You can keep going. You're on a roll.
Take it. We're on a roll. We're doing so good. This is amazing.
That was great.
Um,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, I just want to address Karen's question. Okay, let me just come back to this. So she asks, can you talk about what causes or contributes to lymphatic fluid backup, especially after years of not having this issue as a plant-based vegan? Is it related to not doing enemas often enough? Thank you
Okay.
so much, Karen. Um,
So she's been plant-based for years. None of this
mhm,
is medical advice, but I'm
yeah.
just seeing it's like to go back to Eric, what is the foundational cause of all disease? Obstruction, constipation. So the 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 bodily fluids, our lymphatic system, our lymphatic fluids, our blood, why can't it move? So I mean, there could be like a like, what have you been eating over the last couple of days? That could be something. Whenever I eat, I could be eating vegetables, but if I have salt, if I had a lot of rock salt, the lymphatic system, my lymphatic fluids in my head would just stop. Unfortunately, like age can play a role. As we become older, the elasticity of the tissues isn't as great, and there's no organ. There's nothing that moves lymphatic fluid other than like really like movement, breath. You can use like herbs, but I'm not going to recommend that because that's you got to use that within context. The fruits, the astringency of fruit. When I say astringent, think of the tissues in your mouth puckering up when you eat a lemon. So like everything becomes really tight, that squeeze. So that's what I mean by astringency. That squeezing of the tissues, the tension, kind of mimics movement of the body, so that can move the lymphatic fluid and kind of pull any waste out. But are you walking a lot? Are you moving a lot? That plays a huge role. How well are the kidneys filtering? That plays a huge role because your your lymphatic system also needs to be emptied out because it's the sewage system, but it's like it's there for so then the waste, sorry, it's there so then like filtering organs can then clean it out. Like you have the kidneys filtering the lymphatic fluid. If your kidneys aren't filtering, then you're gonna retain a lot of fluid and you get something like edema. So your leg might be really, really swelled up. It might look like a 600-pound person's leg. No offense to 600-pound people. Um, the skin, how well is the skin filtering? There's a lot that can go to it. But yeah, Karen, I would reach out to me. Send me a private DM and we'll schedule something.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely reach out to JC. He's amazing. You're so full of knowledge and you explain yourself very, very well. I really appreciate being able to bring the scientific explanation in a way that we can all understand. Also, I wanted to add with the lymphatic system, like you said, we need to assist it in moving. The lymphatic system, like it's a fluid, it's like a river that comes through our body. And so, like manual stimulation could be really important too, like around the glands, just moving it around in the face, the head, tapping. You could do dry brushing, could help as well to move the lymph. Yoga is really great. I've been loving hot yoga. That's another
Mm,
really important practice that
mm.
that has become again a non-negotiable for me in my life at this point in time because I've come on and off the yoga many, many times, and I'm just like, man, why do I not go to this every single day? So hot yoga, especially sweating every day, getting those toxins out from the body, while stretching and detoxing is like such a game changer. Um, yeah, dry brushing, rebounding can also be good. But like you said, walking is actually the best, walking
I
for
love
moving the
walking.
lymph, getting those like lymph nodes stimulated. We used to walk. Like if you look at us historically speaking, humans were walking everywhere, everywhere, all the time, all the time. So if there's one thing you do, just like walk more, you're gonna feel so much better. Um, Getting
Can I say one
massages.
thing to that?
Yeah.
The you talked about the walking. I'm doing this new exercise thing that I won't be talking about very much, but it involves massage and it you massage your glutes with a tennis ball, and I didn't realize how much how much lymph moved through the glutes until I started to do that.
Mhm.
And sitting, yeah, we talked about like we don't walk as much and we're sitting way more. Sitting feels like 30% of my lymph's ability to circulate is just shut off
Mhm.
if I don't massage the glutes and I sit for a couple of hours a day. But yeah, that was just one thing I wanted to say. You keep going. You're crushing it.
I think I was done. I think
Oh no. No,
I
yeah,
was,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, it was just the massage, the lymphatic drain. Yeah, she said she does the lymphatic drainage massage. Go for an Ayurvedic lymphatic drainage massage. They will rough you up. They don't play. I thought I was going in there to relax. My Indian doctor, oh my God, he did not play. He's like, I'll see you again in 2 weeks. And I was terrified, but it felt so good after. Like, I really felt because they like really like it's not like your typical lymphatic like I got a regular lymphatic massage and it was very soft touch. It was just like, barely, it wasn't your typical massage. And the Ayurvedic is completely different. Cupping as well could be helpful. Acupuncture, like I would try all of them. I would just go for all of them, but the most important is the food as well and the hydration. So
Oh,
see how you feel.
everything.
If take a few days like off the salt, and I would even try to give my body a break. Like if I do like a long juice cleanse, I've had this experience where I would have salty foods after, and I my ankles blew up exactly like what you said. Like I had the big ankles, the feet, my toes swell up. So yeah, I definitely felt the difference from being like super, super clean to eating certain foods. So yeah, coming off the salt, easier said than done, but that green salt that you recommended, salt wise, is so good. The white salt wise salt, not the green one. I don't like the green
That's the
one.
truth. Yes, it's got
But
to
the
taste. Some people need for it. Yeah.
but yeah, the white one is really, really great. So
Yeah, I think you nailed it when you said the eating part. You could be exercising, you could be doing the hot yoga, but if the eating isn't right, that will make really like solving any type of problem very, very difficult,
yeah.
especially in the long term.
Mhm.
So yeah, Karen, just reach out and I'll we can figure something out.
Love you so much, Karen. Karen always
Yeah,
shares my
appreciate you.
posts in
She's
her
so awesome.
groups. Love you so, so much. She's
Shout out,
involved
Karen.
in the community. She's amazing. We love you so, so much. Thank you for all your support and your love and for doing the work. You've been at it longer than any of us. Like, that's amazing. And spreading the good news all over. Such a
So full of
legend.
vitality.
I hope to meet
Yeah.
Karen one day. She's my friend. Yes. All right. Well, we've almost gone like 2 hours. I was trying to keep this to it. I had
Light
a
work.
feeling we were gonna
Light work.
we were gonna continue longer, but I'm so happy. Thank you for everybody who joined us tonight. Is there anything else that's coming up for you before we close our ceremony?
You talking about questions or just things I'm seeing?
Anything. It could be anything, anything.
Oh man. I guess Aline, like what drives you to do this? Why do the Zoom call? Why go every day on the internet where you get praise, but you might get pushback? What
Mm.
what is your reason?
I mostly get praise. No, I'm joking. No, but it's true. People love me. No.
Nice. You almost had me there for a second.
No, but listen, listen. Like I say this with all
All right.
humility, like
Okay.
I feel very loved by my community and I just send that love back. And I think it's because people feel how genuine I am. They feel my heart is in the right place. So I really do feel the love. And I feel like a lot of people get more pushback and maybe I don't know. I just feel really blessed. Like for the pushback that I do get, it's like not it's like 0.001% compared to all the love that I receive. But I do this because And you tonight have reminded me of why I do this because I have taken a
Mm.
step back a little bit from making videos. I'm not as consistent as you or Professor Spira. I look to you for, consistency. I'm literally like a mermaid Pisces in the water. I'm so emotional. Like I go through periods where I just don't want to do any of it. But I'm reminded of my mission when I do these calls because there is there's always something new, first of all, that I learn. And there's always something that I feel, you know, called to bring to the community. And I see my role as a conduit, for others, such as yourself, to bring this to the world. And sometimes, I have imposter syndrome. I have to be honest. Like I say, everybody loves me like I'm like the queen of the world, but I actually deal with a lot of self-esteem issues. I deal with a lot of self-doubt, a lot of that imposter syndrome of like, well, who are you to do this? Who wants to listen to you? Like it's been said before, it's been done before. You're not that smart. You're not that creative. What kind of questions are you gonna ask? You're gonna make a fool of yourself. Like I have, this like constant talk in the back of my mind, which sometimes holds me back from doing this. But then, we have calls like this, and I realize how much fun it is. So let me answer your question by saying I just love doing this for my own pleasure, first and
Hey, that's
foremost.
great. That's great. Yeah.
Beyond all the other reasons, to bring to the world. Like if somebody connects here and finds joy and pleasure and information, like that's a bonus to me having an excellent time with my friends that I talk to. Um,
We call that
so
having fun, Aline.
it has helped me when I was doing like interviews like very regularly, especially in the beginning after my last relapse. It was helping me stay on track and stay sober and stay clean because this actually gets me a little high. It gets me a little
Oh
like
yeah.
super buzzed in a very natural and healthy way. But of course, like I want to share this knowledge with the world. I want as many people to learn, to evolve and grow so that we can create heaven on earth, so that we can build community. I would love to build a physical community at some point, and this is, I feel, part of that process, getting to know each other on these platforms before, meeting in person, and creating these amazing villages all over the world. I want to see arid, plant-based, vegan, fruitarian villages all over the world. So, each time I do this, I think I come out of my own shyness a little bit more, and I'm like, man, like like I've received so many compliments over the years too, like, Aline, you're so good at this, like you're really like a natural and people feel
You are.
comfortable with you and all these things. And then so I do it and I have so much fun and then I kind of like retreat back. I'm actually an introvert. I'm actually like quite the introvert. I know like people don't believe that, but I kind of like come back into my shell for a while. So I think like staying consistent with these videos would be good for me, for you, for the community,
Oh
to
yeah.
continue. That's a long-winded answer.
No, that I mean it was a I didn't expect a short answer. I mean, yeah, I think you nailed it on the head with like your self-evaluation of like you're built for this. I remember a while ago, I don't remember like the context of it, but you were just like dancing and having fun. And one of the community members I'm really close with, he saw it and he was like, "Bro, she's so relaxed on camera." And it's like we're so awkward. And I was like, I know, but you get so many eyes that it's like that seems to be just like a gift. And
Mm,
it seems like you are like driven and motivated to do this just based off your answer. And of course you have your struggles with it, but it seems like if this were to go away, life would be pretty difficult, which I think is a really good sign that you're at least on the path of like your life mission, your passion. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm
yeah.
just saying what I'm seeing. um, but yeah, I think you definitely have a platform that can bring lots of eyes that would have never seen these different lifestyles or heard this type of
Mm,
information. So
yeah.
I'm just glad you're doing it. Whatever the reason is, it sounds like you just like it's just very fun. But
Uh,
and all the other really, really cool stuff. But yeah, no, just super grateful that you're
oh.
doing this and having me on. This was yeah, this was an incredible way to spend a Tuesday night.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. See, I'm already like replaying and I'm regretting what I just said. But you know what? That is part of I'm autistic as well. Like I don't know if everybody knows. Like I have special needs. I definitely sometimes run my mouth a little bit or say things like I don't want to say necessarily, but I also want to come for the neurodivergent community as well. And
Oh,
I
that's
am
wonderful.
opening up a little bit more about that because sometimes we are afraid of coming on these platforms because of that. Because for me, like especially like I'm literally afraid of saying things that I shouldn't be saying. You see me like sometimes taking a little bit extra time to like formulate my answer because it would be something that's like very shocking or blasphemous or things like that. But it's also part of my gifts, when being so authentic and spontaneous and all that. So, and I think you have that too. You're more composed a little bit, but you definitely have that very beautiful as I'm finding my words, like childlike innocence as well, like that return to innocence is
I
very present
appreciate
in
that.
you. And I think that's like really beautiful because I do believe like the kingdom of heaven is like reserved for those who know how to come back into their bliss, their happiness, their joy, and their spontaneity. So it's not about being perfect. It's not about, I think, yeah, another reason why I like coming on here is to show people like you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. See, my lighting is all like I look like I have like too much light on me. I'm like, man, I need to talk to you about like video stuff so that I actually got myself a new mic. I'm getting it tomorrow.
Nice.
I just invested. So yeah, coming on here tonight with you was very, very powerful for I think the mission and for my me answering the call even more. I feel God really pushing me to nudging me in the most gentle, fatherly, loving kind of way, like get into it more and take yourself seriously because the world needs you and it's about to get really big. And I know you all are like already getting big. I know Professor Spear's account just like blew up
It's
in
been
the recent years. Like I know he's been
been
working
awesome.
so hard on it and I just need to put in that same level of consistency, effort and devotion regardless of the results, yeah, regardless of
Yeah.
of whatever comes like and to trust myself more, to trust that what I have to share is amazing. And these conversations are always so fluid. I don't really plan my questions. Like I love just free flowing. And I think you are such a natural gifted speaker. Let me stop talking about myself here for a second. Like you are such a natural gifted speaker as well. And we need to do this again. We need to do this
I'm
again
down. Yeah,
very
I'm down.
soon and continue to have these conversations because the world needs you. I think you have such a
Oh,
powerful and grounded way of sharing this in a easy to digest, speaking of elimination, easy to digest, easy to break down, understand, comprehend that feels very rooted in your own journey. And I know you've been going through it, and I know it hasn't been easy for you, as it hasn't been for a lot of us, but yeah, you speak to our hearts, you speak to our hearts in a very, very, very important way. And I think you are very important in our community as well. I think
oh.
more need to start opening up and sharing. So I see you hosting these interviews as well. You're very good.
One of these days, I pray. I hope that happens. No, I
Yes,
really I really do
definitely.
appreciate that, Aline, and I gotta give like huge credits to the giant's shoulders that I
Yes.
stand on because I was telling a friend, it's like where I'm at now, I didn't just get here. It's like I found these bridges to a better life. Some were built hundreds of thousands of years ago by people long dead that shared spiritual methods or ways of eating. And I eventually found this, which like this is like a tightrope really I crossed to get over to where I'm at now. And Spira taught me how to use the tools to start building the bridge to help bring everyone over here. But I mean, the man was literally like putting me through almost like speech classes like this time last year. I was the vocal exercises, and I wouldn't be
Oh.
nearly as calm as I am now if it wasn't for the mucus diet healing system. So there's a lot of shoulders that I stand on, but the biggest is by far Professor Spira, Brother Air, Brady Lou, Reese
Yes.
Canode, shout out all of them. But
Yes.
no, I really appreciate that. And yeah, I'd love to be hosting these one of these days, But for now, I'll get my reps in. I'll do my due diligence.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you to all of those amazing giants upon which we are able to build, our own individual foundation, but they laid it out, they laid it out for us. They were the pioneers, they were the first ones. They are the reason why it may be a little bit easier for us to penetrate this, the world
Gosh.
because they probably got the backlash, that was
Oh
at the
yeah.
beginning. I know it took a lot of strength and courage and determination to move through that because they were like some of the first ones. So when we're here and it's not, I mean, it is foreign to a lot of people, but it's almost like they're warmed up a little bit to it. So
Right.
not,
Yeah.
but yeah, I remember like even back in the days when I started this path, nobody was, I didn't have no vegans on my page, so it grows. Your community will grow over time as you share, as you evolve. And just keep being you and keep having a good heart and keep being kind to those around you, and you're going to attract like so many amazing things in your life. And that kindness starts for yourself and then it extends to people, but it doesn't limit you to people. And it has to extend to all the animals and yeah, like our planet and for our children and all the future generations, we need to do something and we need to like take action. And it starts with taking personal action. But yeah, big
Um,
shout out to Professor Spira. We love you so
Oh
so
yeah.
much. Thank you for being the amazing leader, father, brother, cousin, friend that we all I feel needed. Truly like a divine masculine figure in our life as well. And I know all the work that he's doing with you all extends beyond what I could ever imagine somebody would do. So he's definitely a great example for me as well as a leader in this community of what, you know, I need to continue to be doing as well around me. And Brother Air, I had the honor of speaking with him as well. He's so amazing. Love Brady, Reese.
Be Lou.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did I forget somebody? Brady, Reese.
No, you covered them all.
Okay,
Brady,
okay.
Reese. I gotta toss in my mom. Shout out, Mama. Love you. Yeah.
Love your mom.
Quick, quick,
Thank,
yeah, quick
yes,
plug-in.
definitely. What's your mom's name?
Evita.
Eva. Evita. Oh,
Yeah.
hermosa. Thank you so much for creating such an amazing young man full of love and empathy and compassion. You are quite the remarkable human, and we are so grateful to have you, so grateful to know you. Thank you for being my friend and for your continued work on yourself and in the community.
I
Yes.
appreciate that. I mean, yeah, we have to work together to make this happen. We got to
Yes.
build it and they will come, just like you built your Facebook page and now it's full of plant-based people. And
Yes.
yeah, I'm gonna be launching my website probably. I was thinking at the end of this week,
Okay.
but if you guys follow me at Instagram at JCS_journals, so JC's journals, you can see that when it launches, or you could follow me on Facebook here at JC Ortiz/Roman. And if you're interested in the mucus diet healing system at all, and getting in contact with me and other high level practitioners, you can do so there. So
Yes.
yeah, if you guys are interested in that, follow. End of the week, you'll see that drop. Aline, I can't thank you enough for giving me this platform to speak and share and get my reps in with this. So yeah, this was a really really cool opportunity. I appreciate all your kind words.
Aw, I mean them, and I could go on, and I just saw your mom was watching, and now I'm shy.
Ah, nah, don't be. Mama's cool. Mama's relaxed.
She's the best. Oh, she says
She's
love
just
you back.
supportive.
Yeah, very supportive.
Yeah, she's great.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you everybody who joined us. And if you have any topics that you would like me and JC to talk about again, please let me know. I would love to have him come back and do this again. And please join our community as well. I'm in the private community as well as the Facebook one. So come and check it out. Lots of amazing people in there. You don't have to do this alone. Can't wait to see your website too. It's going to be awesome, I'm sure.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's looking all right. It's looking cool. Might be some recipes. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
Good, good. You could always expand on it, even if they don't come out right away. You could always
Oh yeah.
add them in. All right, everybody, will have a beautiful night, and I will see you again very soon. Bye.
Bye y'all.